In court, Kemper's attorney, Rollin Hall, requested and was granted a continuance of proceedings, requested and was granted a gag order to prevent official statements about the defendant or the case. Kemper is accused of killing Marianne Pesky and Anita Lucchesa, Fresno State College co-eds, last seen hitchhiking from Berkeley to Stanford. Miss Coe, last seen hitchhiking in Berkeley. Cynthia Ann Shaw, last seen hitchhiking to a class at Cabrillo College in Santa Cruz. Rosalind Thorpe and Alice Liu, two UC Santa Cruz co-eds, last seen hitchhiking on that campus. His mother, Mrs. Clarnell Strandberg, and her friend, Sarah Taylor Hallett. He is being held without bail. Kemper was arraigned this afternoon on charges of killing 6 young women, his mother, and a friend of hers over a period of time from May 7, 1972 to the 21st of this month. All the victims except one, the woman friend of his mother, were dismembered. All the young women, 5 college co-eds and 15-year-old Aiko Koo of Berkeley, were last seen hitchhiking. 2 days after the death of Miss Koo, September 14, 1972, Kemper went to Fresno and was examined by 2 psychiatrists in his bid to have his juvenile record sealed. They reported him not a danger to society. One said he was in excellent psychiatric health. This information came from Santa Cruz County District Attorney Peter Chang, who talked to reporters an hour or so before Kemper's arraignment and was asked what motive he ascribed to Kemper.
He apparently, according to what he says, fantasized about doing this for quite a long period of time, and he states that he never would have been able to have acted out any of this fantasy if it were not for the fact that there were so many attractive, naive girls hitchhiking in the Bay Area and in this county.
The next court date for Kemper is May 21st. He's scheduled to enter a plea at that time. Pat O'Brien, Eyewitness News, Santa Cruz.
This department is investigating.
Aptos, just a few miles south of Santa Cruz, where this morning about 5:30, county sheriff's investigators found the bodies of 2 women, one of them decapitated and her right hand cut off. The bodies were found in closets in the apartment home of one of the victims, because, police say, the son of that victim called Santa Cruz police from Pueblo, Colorado this morning and told them about the murders. At the sheriff's office in downtown Santa Cruz, Sheriff Douglas James said that call came from 24-year-old Edmund Kemper, who lived at the address where the murder victims were discovered, and that Kemper was arrested in a Pueblo phone booth. The only identification of the victims released by authorities through most of the day was that one woman was Kemper's mother, the second a friend of hers. The wire services are quoting Pueblo police as saying that Kemper tells them he killed 6 college co-eds in the Santa Cruz area.
Sheriff James believes the women were murdered sometime over Easter weekend. They were the 17th and 18th murders in this county this year. Pat O'Brien, Eyewitness News in Aptos, just south of Santa Cruz. In other matters, perhaps a bit more pertinent to the case here, there is talk among the sheriff's personnel that Kemper will be transferred to either Soledad Prison or San Mateo County Jail for security purposes, and because some of the other inmates in the Santa Cruz County Jail are becoming uneasy over his presence here. His attorney Jackson said he would protest such a move because of the time delay involved. In any event, Kemper is due back in court here June 6th. Pat O'Brien, Eyewitness News, Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz County Sheriff spokesman say Kemper tried twice last Monday to kill himself by attempting to cut an artery in his arm with a ballpoint pen clip. He was taken to a hospital after the attempt was discovered, received 6 stitches to close the wound, and when returned to jail, put in a cell by himself under close surveillance. In court today, his attorney requested and received a week's delay in the proceedings. Kemper is charged with killing his mother, a friend of hers, and 6 college co-eds. He gave reporters an envelope as he walked by them in the hall on the way into court. Inside was a form letter, apparently from the committee to re-elect President Nixon, since the first family's picture was on the front of it, and a thank you for campaign effort message inside, along with the mimeographed signatures of the president and his family. Kemper's Santa Cruz address was on the envelope. It bore a Washington postmark dated April 26th, 2 days after Kemper was arrested in Pueblo, Colorado. Kemper's attorney could not shed much light on this rather strange development.
It was mailed to him. Apparently, it came yesterday.
Did he have an active role in the campaign, you know?
He voted against Mr. Nixon.
Against Mr. Nixon?
That's what he told me.
And how would he get this letter?
You have to ask the committee to re-elect the president.
Oh, he was kind of an odd man, and he didn't say much. He seemed like kind of a mama's boy. I always was kind of afraid of him, actually. He scared me a lot, and I heard him and his mother argue quite a bit, all the time.
Get inside that direction. Running all over.
The head of one of the half-dozen murdered or missing co-eds in the Santa Cruz area was found at the bottom of one of these canyons last August. and there has been a deluge of statements attributed to Kemper coming out of Pueblo about the Coed murder cases. Sheriff's investigators said today he would be taken here for searching purposes if he confirms those statements when he arrives at the jail in this county. Pat O'Brien, Eyewitness News, near Santa Cruz. The focus of attention today was on two automobiles, those belonging to the suspect and to his mother, one of the women he is accused of murdering over the Easter weekend. The cars were sealed and towed into a Santa Cruz garage after discovery of the bodies of Mrs. Clara Strandberg and Mrs. Sarah Taylor in Mrs. Strandberg's Aptos apartment 3 days ago. The same day Kemper was arrested in a Pueblo, Colorado phone booth. With experts from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Department assisting, investigators went over both vehicles this morning quite thoroughly. First photographing what they saw, then with rubber-gloved hands taking it out of the car, putting it in a labeled sack, and re-recording each item on a list being compiled. Of course, there was the dusting for fingerprints, too, and if anything they considered significant in their investigation was noted or found, they would not say so at this time. Thursday, a human skull was dug out of the backyard of that Aptos apartment where Kemper and his mother, Mrs. Strandberg, lived. Today, the Sheriff's Department here said identification by the county pathologist would probably not come before next Monday.
There is a strong possibility Kemper will be brought up to this general area of the Santa Cruz Mountains sometime this weekend.
Why do you think you were spared any of the violence?
Well, I believe it was the grotto we built her while he was living here. And he used to sit here and watch, and I think she made it possible that he couldn't touch us.
Do you think the Blessed Mother was looking over you?
Oh, definitely.
How do the neighbors feel? Do they all know about it now?
Well, some do, and some are not aware of it yet.
He was a nice guy, this 24-year-old giant. Edmund Kemper never bothered his neighbors on this Alameda street, paid his rent, and went his own way. Except for his 6'9", 280-pound frame, he could have gone unnoticed.
He was an average person. He blended in with everybody. I mean, he talked a lot. When we had a barbecue down here in the backyard last July, but the only time he didn't talk too much is when, like, if I'd meet him in the garage by myself, or he was coming in and I was going out, or the other way around, all he would say is hi, and that was it. But if you tried to start a conversation with him, it was kind of useless. You know, he never really volunteered anything. So.
How do you feel now that you found out he was a neighbor?
Scared stiff, because he really was a neighbor. I lived right next door in the next apartment next to him. And just gives me the creeps is kind of an understatement.
Kemper lived here last year, but it is now that the aftershocks are setting in, and the Binns family will continue to rely on the Blessed Mother for protection. Peter Burns, Eyewitness News in Alameda.
This is a day of waiting in Santa Cruz. Residents are watching carefully as sheriff's investigators and District Attorney Peter Chang begin to build a case against Edward Kemper III. Chang's office is in this building, but today he's in Colorado talking to Kemper, the man who was supposed to have told Pueblo police that he had killed his mother and another woman in a duplex in the Santa Cruz community of Aptos Seacliff. Apparently, Kemper also told Pueblo police that he had previously killed 6 college girls in the Santa Cruz area. Those murders had been part of a series that had led Santa Cruz County residents to fear their county was becoming some kind of murder capital. Herbert Mullen was charged with 10 murders earlier this year. He's awaiting trial. The Kerner confession, if it is indeed that, would go far toward solving the rest in the unsolved string. Of course, it's a long way from here to conviction, but even at this point, some interesting questions can be raised. When he was 15 years old, Edward Kemper was arrested, charged, and convicted with murdering his grandparents. He had been treated for mental illness, yet he was able to purchase a .44 Magnum handgun, one of the most powerful ever made. Do the gun laws that made that purchase possible need review? And what about the decision to parole Kemper in 1970? Did psychiatric evaluation play a role in that release? Kemper has not been tried and found guilty of anything. But if he is, the system itself may stand convicted, found guilty of having failed to protect society, and even of having failed to protect Kemper from himself. Kemper is already on his way back from Colorado. He's due to arrive here on Friday when further questioning will take place. But there's some question with his history of mental illness that he'll ever stand trial. If there is a trial, it will take place here in this courthouse in Santa Cruz. Bill Hillman, Eyewitness News, at the Santa Cruz County Courthouse.
District Attorney Peter Chang was back in Santa Cruz today after talking to 6'9" giant Edmund Kemper in a Pueblo, Colorado jail. But Chang was giving out very little information about Kemper. There are persistent reports that more grisly finds are going to be made. But at the District Attorney's office and the Sheriff's office, nobody's talking. Jack Bates reporting in Aptos.
Well, depending on weather and what routes they may take, he'll be back anytime between Friday and Monday. And we intend Monday to take him to court and arraign him for the two murders, the one count for murdering his mother and the second count for the murder of her friend.
She was a really beautiful person, not just to look at, but to talk to. And she was just a really fine girl.
There is the possibility, according to County Sheriff Douglas James, that other bodies may be in the hills around Santa Cruz, hills so thickly forested that they preclude a detailed or exhaustive search to test that possibility. It was near here last weekend that the bodies of 4 young men were found. 25-year-old Herbert Mullen has been accused of those murders and 6 others. At the county office building today, District Attorney Peter Chang said he would seek grand jury indictments against Mullen and, when prodded by reporters, expressed his view about the onslaught of murder in his county.
I think our whole drug way of life and the fact that there's so many people on welfare and they come down here, anybody can get welfare, anybody can go out in the hills and do their own thing. Our whole way of life and the responsibilities that we ask of individuals is just ridiculous.
Are the people in the county afraid at the moment?
I don't know.
There's been no expression of that to your office?
I don't think there's the kind of fear that pervaded this county after the Yodas were murdered.
Why not? What would be different?
Well, you had a lot of things in the Yoda case. You had that note that promised revenge on all people who had big houses. You just had a lot of bizarre, very bizarre things in that case that are not present here.
Mullen is being held here in the San Mateo County Jail in Redwood City. District Attorney Chang calls the Santa Cruz County Jail one of the most antiquated in the state, and for security reasons, Mullen is being held here. Pat O'Brien, Eyewitness News, Redwood City. The bodies were discovered last week on Eden Canyon Road, east of Castro Valley. Both were found lying just over the side of the road near a water heater someone had discarded there. Alameda County Sheriff's investigators combed the area Friday, searching for any possible clue that might be found. Both girls had been decapitated, and the hands from one body had been cut off. Alice Liu and Rosalind Thorpe were last seen February 5th. Miss Thorpe while hitchhiking from campus, Miss Liu at the university library. Strict procedures have been requested of the student body by the school's administration here in Santa Cruz, for in addition to the disappearance, now murder, of Miss Liu and Miss Thorpe, 9 co-eds from this campus have reported being raped by a man who picked them up while they were hitchhiking. A co-ed from another area college is missing, and since last August, the bodies, or remains of bodies, of 3 other co-eds, 2 from Cabrillo College, 1 from Fresno State, have been found in the Santa Cruz area.
Police in Santa Cruz are not expecting a fast, dramatic solution to this trio of butcherings. It was routine work today, checking into the backgrounds of all the victims and into the background of the prime suspect, who was arrested in another series of killings. Herbert Mullen has been accused in 10 of the 15 murders tied to this South Coast community. However, Mullen's alleged connection with death has not involved the cutting up of the victims, and this apparently was the grisly pattern set in the death of the girl whose body parts were found scattered from here in Santa Cruz to Big Sur. And an even more horrible possibility has come to light with the findings of the 2 girls in Castro Valley. All the blood was pumped from their bodies, indicating that they may have been butchered while they were still alive. Peter Burns, Eyewitness News, Santa Cruz.
This is just a nice quiet area where the road here continues but drops off very rapidly. And it's Jeep road or horse country. You can look back and follow the perimeter, and it's about right in here is where we found another campground where we found a TV and a table and a blanket and stuff like this some years ago. How do you conduct a search such as this? You just fan out and sweep through the woods?
Break off in teams by pairs and reasonably stay together within visual contact, and then make a sweep through one area and come back and start on the next area.
Do you have any idea how large the area to be searched is?
We've got roughly about a square mile at minimum.
How long will it take?
Most of the day.
You make a sharp left and go down the hill. It goes along. Houston to Salome. From where the other boys are, so you'll need to spread out in there to cover the flatland. But then...
In my bags, I guess this will fit. All right, you know what you can do is give it to Genovese then.
This one goes to Squires.
So when you call me, just call me command post and use your number.
This spot is just a stone's throw from the Santa Cruz campus of the University of California. These redwood forests sweep up over a ridge and then down to the town of Felton. It's not far from here that just a week ago today, 4 more bodies were discovered in a connected series of murders that now numbers at least 10. There is a theory that the thickly wooded hillsides here may be hiding other bodies. It is known that there are campsites and perhaps even rude cabins in this virtual wilderness, part of which, ironically, is known as the Garden of Eden. The only way to find out whether more murders are hidden here is to go in and look. For that purpose, 13 members of the Santa Cruz Sheriff's Posse have assembled here this morning to conduct a massive search. A Sheriff's Explorer group affiliated with the Boy Scouts is assisting in the Santa Cruz search. The boys now have with them for the first time newly acquired radios designed for just this use. 25-year-old Herbert Mullen has been charged with 10 of the Santa Cruz murders. The house in which he lived until 3 weeks ago is just a few minutes' walk from here. There are also a number of unsolved murders in this area. 4 of these victims were co-eds from nearby UC. At least 2 other young women are missing and feared dead. There is not really a high expectation that bodies will be found today by these searchers. Most people think not. But there is always the possibility, enough so that even a gray and gloomy day has not canceled this grim expedition. And there is a better chance that helpful clues will be turned up which will bear on the murders which have kept Santa Cruz on edge. Bill Hillman, Eyewitness News, near Santa Cruz.
District Attorney Peter Chang has just returned from Pueblo where he interviewed Kemper. Chang says Kemper will be arraigned on 2 first-degree murder charges next Monday, but he cannot say yet whether Kemper is connected with the murders of 6 Santa Cruz area college co-eds.
An investigation is underway to see to what extent Kemper is related to those killings.
You talked to him in Colorado, Mr. Chang. How did he appear? How did he strike you? What was his demeanor?
He was extremely affable, cooperative, and articulate and intelligent.
Carla Gervasoni lives right above this duplex. She said deputies came and started digging about 10 this morning. And she recalled some of her impressions about 24-year-old Edmund Kemper, the man accused of murdering his mother and her friend.
He was too quiet sometimes, and he was always taking things, back and forth. Guns. He had guns that I saw. I guess that's why I thought he was strange. They scared me.